Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We first wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Matt Peterson. I'm a relationship director with MapleLMS. I work very closely with our clients at MapleLMS to partner with them on their training, education, and professional development programs, and to help them achieve their objectives around their education and training programs. Joining me today is my colleague, Avon. Avon, how are you today? Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Thank you, Matt. I'm doing well. Yeah, thank you for having me here again. My name is Avin. I'm a key account manager with MapleLMS. I'm also the customer training manager, and I mainly help our customers on board, help them learn our platform, and basically help them get started.
That's great. So it's great to have a training manager on a call about employee training. Just wanted to go over a couple housekeeping items. We encourage you to ask questions through the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end of the presentation. Also, MapleLMS is a certified CAE provider, and today's live call is eligible to receive 1 CAE credit, which you can claim on the American Society of Association Executives website. Today, we'll be talking about how to use the Salesforce LMS to conduct employee training. Because Salesforce has become such an important tool for every organization that wants to be close to its customers, prospects, members, employees, it has developed an amazing marketplace of software. The App Exchange that enables organizations to extend the functionality into every division that doesn't already use it. It's a place where you can find software to perform any number of operations. This turns Salesforce into a single point of entry for anyone in your organization who needs to interact with customers, prospects, employees, members, and it can also be useful in training employees, which we're going to be focusing on today. An integrated LMS integration is done with an application programming interface or API. It's a bit of code that lets the two programs communicate and share data. Once the API is installed, you'll need to think about which data fields in your LMS you want to push to Salesforce. The data will then exist in both platforms and will update real time when changes are made. So typically this will include the course the employee has completed, any certifications earned, how they scored on assessments, and the like. So every software in the Salesforce App Exchange has been put through a rigorous review process to make sure it meets strict standards and best practices as an organization. This includes learning management software that could serve as your learning software for your employees training, customer training, employee onboarding, or just professional development available within your organization. So you'll find MapleLMS on the App Exchange, as our system can work seamlessly with your current Salesforce environment. So Avon, I know you talked to some of our customers and prospective customers about their training programs. Do you ever hear about any common challenges organizations are typically facing?
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a few. And I'm happy to walk you through some of those over the webinar today. So if I just navigate to the next slide, here you'll see a list of few most common, I would say, challenges that quite a few organizations come across. And it could be different, but these would be some of the most basic, some of the most common challenges that we see a lot, mostly when we are dealing with organizations, companies, associations, and so on. And first and foremost, lack of budget and resources. So generally, we find that most organizations do not have a specified budget or a resource or resources to plan employee training, which is again a big challenge because you need to identify a budget for your training and look for a solution around that. And then also, sometimes we come across instances where customers or the clients that we get, they particularly do not have a specified timeline for their training, and they end up receiving multiple requests, maybe an administrator, basically to help with new courses, a most common example would be, say, if you have a new employee in your organization and he's not aware how to use Salesforce and he just needs some training around that. So they just end up contacting or sending request to the administrator to get some knowledge on that. So that would be a most basic example of it. And then also sometimes there's no awareness or about the training, or basically the plan and the infrastructure of the training. So ideally you would be lacking on expertise to arrange and manage training for new users or new employees in your organization. Also, sometimes some organizations they do not have a defined training goal, which means they basically do not have any thoughts on who would be trained in what role. Say if we take an example, let's say there's a particular role, say a sales manager or a director, what kind of training, or maybe a sales employee, a representative, what kind of trainings should be delivered to these individuals. And then one of the most common, I would say, is the lack of training, lack of tracking and reporting systems. So generally, organizations may not have a way to measure the training and effectiveness of that training with their employees. So that's also one of the big challenges we see. And most importantly, this would be the most common example where an organization or a company does not have a training platform. You need a training platform to deliver your online and offline learning to your employees. And if you don't have that in place already, that's definitely a big challenge to it. Well, these are just a few general challenges that I come across while working with some of our clients and based on past experiences. So I think we should also look at some examples of what solutions should an organization look into if they do come across these challenges. So now on this slide, if you see, I've listed down a few solutions that would be ideal for any company, any organization. First thing first, you need to set your training goals. So you need to know what your employees need to achieve and what kind of trainings to be delivered. And then you need to define a training duration as well. Trainings could be ad hoc trainings. Some trainings could be available throughout the year. Some trainings could be ad hoc. But anyway, once you have a training plan in place, you need to know the duration of that training. So defining a training duration is very important as well. And then also definitely you need a way to get some feedback from your employees about that training. So there has to be a feedback system in place which allows you to look at the feedback from your employees and understand what they're feeling about it. So that's also a must-have, I would say. And then the ability to monitor real-time progress, any reports and training progress, course progress, things like that. Basically a way to record and view those training progress and basically generate reports around that. That would also be an ideal solution. Now, certainly you need a budget, and as I mentioned earlier, you need to plan your budget and resource for your trainings, for your employee training. So identifying a budget is not that big of a challenge. You can definitely research a few solutions out there and identify the budget accordingly. Now, also one solution that comes to my mind would be the way to communicate the training project with your team, and basically discussing with your IT team or IT head if they can handle a new tech stack in their organization, if there are any challenges around that, and yeah, so on. That would also be a solution which an organization should look for. And then you need a way to measure the training effectiveness. So basically, how did your trainings impact your employees' productivity? Was there a change in your employees' progress or their conduct per se? So basically a way to evaluate, analyze, and measure the effectiveness of your trainings and your programs, your training programs that you're offering to your employees. Lastly, and most importantly, you need to have a learning management system which works seamlessly with Salesforce. So by that, I mean, you must have a learning management system that integrates very well with Salesforce. And moving forward in this webinar, we'll look at some items around that. Salesforce is a great tool, and Salesforce integrated LMS could definitely do wonders for your organization in terms of employee training. Now, I also wanted to walk you through a few items around why and how basically a Salesforce LMS could meet your needs, your training goals, and help your organization deliver successful training programs and seamless experience of learning and development. Firstly, with a Salesforce LMS, you do have options to create a single sign-on. So you get so your employees can access the training platform using your Salesforce credentials. You don't really need any additional credentials to log in to your learning platform, to your learning management system. If you have a Salesforce, if your organization uses Salesforce, you can certainly integrate that with your learning management system and provide a seamless experience through a single sign-on. You can also provide role-based training. So assigning any particular training to user roles, or could be more like, let's say, for example, there's a role for manager, there's a role for director, there's a role for representatives, technical staff, support team, quite a few. So role-based training can also be assigned and delivered with the help of a Salesforce LMS. And one of the most important item I would say would be sales enablement, which is really helpful for your sales team. An example of that would be, let's say, if a sales representative is working on an opportunity, they get recommendations within Salesforce about the product or service your customer is interested in. So you have all your information at your fingertips. If you wanted to assist your customer, maybe a prospect, you can look for that information right within Salesforce. And the LMS is already identifying that for you. So what exactly you need to look for, which course you need to go, if you want to find some information about that product, that's all coming straight to your Salesforce ecosystem. So that's there. Some in-app guidance can also be delivered on Salesforce. Knowledge base for employee self-help can also be delivered with a Salesforce LMS. Course recommendations, as I said, recommendations based on products or services that you have, products that your customers are interested in, or services that your customers are interested in, or maybe, let's say, if your service staff is working through a ticket, maybe a support ticket, and if you wanted to provide some recommendations based on that, that can be done as well. Then there's Chatter, which helps you to share your training updates. That could be one use case for a Chatter as well. Employee onboarding can be simplified too. So let's say if you have a new employee, an onboarding process can go through. And again, when that employee would land into Salesforce, he can basically take up a course which explains how to utilize Salesforce, and that would be a good start for any new employee. Most importantly, if they're using your CRM for the first time, that could be a use case as well. You do have options to train your leadership too, which is really helpful. And ideally, every organization should consider training their leadership as well. So there's also a way to deliver that through Salesforce LMS. And lastly, you can guide employees with trainings and programs. And yeah, so these are some key benefits that you get with Salesforce integration or a Salesforce integrated learning management system. Now, I do have a short demo to showcase on this call. So I'm going to walk you through a real-time example of what that Salesforce integration or that integrated solution look like, or a Salesforce LMS would look like, and some features that we discussed around that. So I'm just going to go back on my screen and minimize this slide, pull up a Salesforce account over here. Now here I'm logged in as a trainer. And trainer, I mean, again, this is a demo site. This is a demo account. It could be different, but I'm just trying to focus on the key items that you get, and basically how a trainer would utilize a Salesforce integrated LMS. Now, first thing first, when a trainer would come in, or let's say if you're a manager, you come into your Salesforce, you view your dashboard. On the dashboard, you get your LMS reports, such as course enrollments, any survey reports, course progress reports, assessment performance reports, and any additional reports can be added over here. This is fully customizable. Now, on top of that, let's say if you wanted to assign a few courses in bulk to a group of users, you can simply navigate to assign course. That gives you a list of user profiles that you have within Salesforce. For example, there's a system administrator profile. So let's say there are about 10 different system administrators in your organization. And if you wanted to assign a few courses to these administrators from Salesforce, you can simply click assign course. That will load up a page where you can simply select the courses that you have in your LMS and assign these courses to your administrators right away. So when they log into the LMS, they will see these courses on their LMS dashboard and they can engage into these courses. Thirdly, this training tab over here. So if I just go to the training tab, now this training tab is standard for both for any user type. So whether it be an administrator or whether it be say an employee, an executive or maybe an employee. So this is standard for everyone. They get a training tab. On the training tab, you see a list of courses or learning programs that you're currently enrolled in. You can actually dive deeper. So if you click on a course, it shows you the progress within each topics of that course, the progress of that program, the enrollment dates, course status, and then you have this option to view the course. Now, this is where a single sign-on again comes into play. So for example, if I wanted to view this course over here, I can simply click on view course, and that takes me straight to the course page where I can engage into course activities, maybe watch some content, and I can come back to my Salesforce. Now, once I have some progress over there, that progress will be written back into my records right over here in this training tab. So that's all real time. Okay. I also have one additional item to show since we are doing a demo. So I'm just going to pull up another Salesforce account over here and show you example of sales enablement. Now, on my Salesforce instance, say if I go to opportunities, and let's say if you have a sales team and if your sales team is working on an active opportunity, let's say this one. So this would be your prospect. Now, here you can see what product or service that your prospect is interested in. And now based on that, LMS will provide recommendations within your Salesforce. So here's a course which is relative to the program that this customer is interested in. And if I wanted to find any information about this product or that service, I can straight away redirect into that course, find that information, and basically get back to my customer as quick as possible. Okay, so these are some tools around Salesforce, and I hope this was a good overview, really a short overview, but really explains a lot about functionalities. I'm just going to go back to my slide over here and launch into it.
Yeah, so that's great. That really shows some real benefits to using the Salesforce integrated LMS for employee training. So let me just take a step back and kind of highlight some of those benefits that you covered, and also talk about a couple others. But at the core of this, we're talking about employee training. So the integrated LMS, you can offer all your training for your employees. It'll allow you to organize your training based upon roles or learning paths, and to ensure you have the training available that an employee not only needs for their current job, but it could also prepare them to take the next step in their career. Knowledge transfer, LMS will support the streamlining of knowledge from managers or experienced employees to those that'll be supporting them in the jobs that they did before. An LMS allows you to use multiple formats and also media types to deliver a message. So employees all learn slightly differently, and some learn better in other formats. An LMS can support different types of learning, such as synchronous or asynchronous learning, offering a blended course, maybe perhaps with live instructor-led discussions, maybe exploring a case study, practicing some role playing, and perhaps finishing the training with an exam to test for knowledge. An LMS takes all the guesswork out of managing courses, organize them into logical sequences and they could be focused on certain desired outcomes that you're looking for from your employees, or they could be organized around a given role in an organization. You have many tools, including course catalogs and categories and subcategories to manage your courses. You may be surprised how many people are learning on mobile platforms, and the numbers continue to grow each year. An LMS that has mobile responsive design will allow your employees to take a micro learning course, perhaps maybe on the commute into work on the subway, or at their leisure. Gamification can work together with the learning to keep your employees motivated, to keep them motivated to continue learning and creating a little friendly competition. You can issue points, badges, and present a leaderboard. I think you'll find that competitive employees will take pride in achieving and exceeding their training goals. Third-party applications, obviously, we're talking about integrating the LMS with an employee portal in a CRM, such as Salesforce. However, LMS can be integrated with other applications based on workflows and use cases. Zoom or Microsoft Teams might be helpful to integrate to do live virtual training. Some of our clients choose to integrate their LMS with an HR or an HRIS software system, and they use that kind of as their system of records. Through reports, you can easily see your employees' learning progress, achievements. You can measure competency gaps. You can gain insights on learning through surveys, so you're constantly fine-tuning your training program based on the employees' feedback that are going through the training. And customization is one of the great benefits of an LMS. Integration with another software can automate processes, such as ensuring annual compliance training, or perhaps taking care of all the onboarding training that is completed by an individual. The customization of reports ensures your managers and stakeholders in your organization have the training data at their fingertips to make decisions about future training. And certainly not least, we want to talk about return on investment. So you can watch your training and travel expenses decrease with a great training program in your LMS. No need to send your employees out for external training. A great training program will also result in less employee turnover, which also saves money, less time spent training, and higher productivity from your talent, which will all have impacts on your ROI and bottom line. Next, I thought it might be helpful to look at a couple of different case studies of clients that we've worked with to resolve their employee training issues. So the first one is Dolby Laboratories. They were using Salesforce, and they have a completely globalized employee roster spanning many different countries that also have many preferred languages. So in our solution, we created microsites for all those different countries, and that really personalized the training as well as supporting the languages that they needed for their various countries. We also provided the single sign-on through Salesforce. Their employees were used to logging into their employee portal, so they can just access the LMS using their Salesforce credentials. And their course progress was synchronized on the Salesforce user profile, so managers can quickly and easily see the learning progress for all their employees. It was also very important to be mobile optimized. Many of their learners throughout the globe were learning on different devices, supporting that the learning and training could be accessed on any device was very important to them, and we implemented that. Another case study is Hardy. This is a trade association. It's the Heating, Air Conditioning, Refrigerating Distributions International. And so many of their member organizations are using the LMS provided by Hardy to train their employees within their own organizations. So the client was able to deliver training to the association members using the MapleLMS, and the role-based course assignment feature streamlined that process. So as member organization had new hires, they were automatically enrolled into the onboarding training that they needed to based upon their role. Employees get auto-enrolled and assigned to the courses, and they're able to access the LMS right from their Salesforce IDs. No need to create a new login and password. Really made their onboarding experience great and encouraged individuals to learn more. So they are seeing a lot of successes in their employees looking through the LMS catalog for other courses that could enhance their professional development and perhaps prepare them for the next stage in their career. So great ways to use integrated Salesforce LMS to create training programs for your employees. And we'll just take this time right now to see if there are any questions from the audience. So I do see one. Avon Jim asks, can you use the LMS for customer training as well?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I mean, there are already use cases around that, and we have implemented customer training use case for quite a few clients. Now, ideally, in terms of customer experience, what our clients expect is to provide a seamless experience for their customers. So, any organization who's ideally using any customer experience portal, for example, Salesforce customer experience cloud or the community cloud, what they expect is to provide a single sign-on from there, so the customer can log in straight into the LMS or navigate into a particular training, and then any progress that they do within the LMS, that progress should be written back to the contact records within your Salesforce org. So that would be the most standard use case in terms of customer training. And obviously there could be a lot involved. There could be learning paths, there could be bundled courses, assessments, and many more activities around that. So yes, Salesforce LMS for customer training would ideally be one of the best fit for your training needs.
I think we also had an example too where they were using the LMS integrated with Salesforce to provide their sales personnel with recommending specific customer training if the individual was inquiring about a particular feature of their service or product, then they could direct that customer to training revolving around that. So you'll probably find some additional resources on our website that kind of delve into the customer training aspect of an LMS as well. So, okay, I don't see any other questions, but feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We really enjoyed your participation today. You can use your Salesforce LMS to train both your managers and employees, offering various course formats. And LMS will support both live, in-person, virtual, and e-learning for your employees, and using the tracking and reporting features to ensure you achieve all your training goals is an important aspect of it as well. So I don't want to minimize that. But if you'd like to ask us any additional questions or continue our conversation from today, feel free to reach out to us. You can use this email, sales@MapleLMS.com, and the phone number is there as well. You can feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to hear from you. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We'll also post this on our website, so it'll be accessible on demand. And don't forget to claim any CAE credits through the ASAE website. I hope you enjoyed the webinar today. Have a great day.